There has been worldwide condemnation over the assassination of one of the journalists in Gaza, Al Jazeera correspondent, Anas al-Sharif, along with four of his colleagues, and a sixth journalist, the freelance reporter Mohammed al-Khalidi. UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Opinion and Expression, Irene Khan, described the killing of al-Sharif and his colleagues as really murder. She says it is not killing in the context of war. It is a deliberate strategy to stop independent voices reporting. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is calling for an independent investigation of the journalists who were killed in the targeted Israeli strike while they were in their tent. Well, and to discuss this further, I have joining me online from Paris, Roux, head crisis desk, Reporters Without Borders. Glad to have you join me, Matan.
Thank you for the invitation.
Wonderful. 2024 was the worst year for journalists in over more than 3 decades. Nearly 70% were killed by Israel. A report says this is alarming and unacceptable. Will you say journalists have become endangered species?
What I can say is that definitely in the Gaza Strip, wearing a press jacket means having a target in your back. For the past 22 months of the Israeli military operation in the Gaza Strip, over 200 journalists have been killed. You said it in the titles. A week ago, 6 reporters, including Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif, were killed in a targeted strike against him. We are seeing a level of impunity because there is no strong international action to stop the Israeli army in this continued killing of journalists. We are seeing a level of impunity that, again, the Israeli army is claiming a targeted strike against journalists, claiming that the journalist is a terrorist, according to their so-called evidence. But what we're seeing is that this so-called evidence haven't been independently verified. And it is just another way to cover for the continued crimes of the Israeli army against journalists in the Gaza Strip.
Protests have been held worldwide over the killing of the 5 and then Khalidi, making it the 6 that you just mentioned there. But how far really can these protests go?
We really need now the international community to step up. That's why we're asking for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council specifically on this issue of protecting journalists in the Gaza Strip. I was saying that this is what we're seeing are continued killings of journalists because the same pattern that was used to justify the murder of Anas al-Sharif a week ago, along with 5 of his colleagues. We observed this pattern a year ago. In July 2024, Israel killed another Al Jazeera journalist, Ismail al-Roux, claiming the same, that he belongs to an armed group. And again, failing to produce credible evidence. So this level of impunity cannot continue. Otherwise, we will just be observers in a massacre that we haven't been able to stop. You know that the RSF has already filed 4 complaints with the ICC. Against the Israeli army for war crimes against journalists in the Gaza Strip. And we are already preparing for another one because we're trying all the means possible to stop the Israeli army from killing journalists.
Mentioned the UN, Guterres, the UN Secretary General, is calling for an investigation. What's your sense of this call by Guterres?
I think it's very important, but at the same time, we have to think of the emergency because the emergency is that the Palestinian journalists need protection. So of course there must be investigations because there must be accountability. Otherwise, again, we will see the same crimes of the Israeli army against journalists repeated. But we also have to think of the emergency, which is protecting the Palestinian journalists in the Gaza Strip. And that's why, again, the international community has to step up, beginning with this emergency meeting. Because what we're seeing now with the targeting of journalists in the Gaza Strip is a bigger plan of the Israeli army and the Israeli authorities to control the narrative on their military operation in the Gaza Strip, trying to hide the crimes against journalists and civilians. I'm talking about a plan to control the narrative because, on one hand, they're targeting and killing Palestinian journalists who are reporting on the ground, and on the other hand, they're preventing international press from having an independent access to the Gaza Strip. So this has to stop, and that's why our call to the international community has to be heard. This is an emergency at this time.
What's the best, most effective, efficient, if you like, way to protect journalists, especially those who report in war-torn areas or areas of conflict?
I mean, it's never safe, of course, for journalists to work in armed conflict. It's never safe, but at the same time, these are areas where we really need their work, and we really need to have credible sources of information on the ground. What are the best ways to protect them? There are many ways, and that's why we're trying them all at the same time. I talked about the complaints we filed with the ICC. I talked about the pressure on the international community to act, and we're also organizing the press, the international press, to also be heard, to condemn the killing of their colleagues in the Gaza Strip. So we also lead different actions with the civil society. So we're really trying all the ways at the same time. Sadly, we also have to be honest and conclude that so far the international community has been very passive in front of Israel in stopping its army, in continuing its crimes. This really has to change, and this latest killing of reporters in the Gaza Strip has to be a wake-up call for the international community to step up. And honestly, I think worldwide people are shocked, people are frustrated in seeing this non-stop massacre of journalists. So this is not only a call from press freedom organization. This is a call from the people worldwide who are shocked by this situation.
Well, what are the organizations that employ these journalists doing that they are not? Are they even doing enough for their protection? And then the question of insurance or assurance of these journalists in case of a disability during the reporting or the ultimate sacrifice of death?
I think from what I've seen, media organizations that are employing some of these journalists are doing what they can to support them. To give you an example, lately there was an opportunity to evacuate uh, collaborators of French media outlets to evacuate them to France from the Gaza Strip. This opportunity is now closed, unfortunately, but for this little window, what I saw is that media organizations did everything that they could do in order to secure the evacuation of the people they worked with. But at the same time, we also have, as I was saying, we also have to acknowledge that governments themselves are being very weak in front of Israeli authorities. So media organizations have a very small window to help at their level.
Yeah, you talked about the passiveness of the international community. I'd ask you, what's responsible for their being passive? What's responsible?
Um, can you repeat your question
I'm
just to make
asking,
sure I
you talked
understood?
about the international community being passive regarding the
Yes.
killings of these journalists. I mean, sad enough, but what is responsible for this attitude, if you like?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get your point. Thank you. I mean, of this level of not doing anything in front of the evidence, because to go back, to go back to the killing of Anas Sharif, because this is the the reason for this interview at the beginning. To go back to the killing of Anas Sharif and five other journalists a week ago. I had personally to answer many questions in interviews about the so-called evidences produced by the Israeli army. But let's take it the other way. Let's talk about the evidence that are produced by press freedom organizations such as RSF that are showing that in many cases there is even when it's not claimed, as in the case of Anas al-Sharif, even in other cases when the Israeli army is not claiming the responsibility for the killing of a journalist, we produced reasonable evidences of an targeted strike. And again, we keep on producing reports. So to answer your questions, there are loads of evidence for the international community to step up and to prevent Israel from continuing this massacre. So if they're not doing so, they will eventually share the responsibility for this killing because they failed to protect journalists working in the Gaza Strip.
Right. Let's talk about your group. Your organization's RSF's advocacy. How far-reaching? What are the challenges you're facing? In this your advocacy.
What kind of challenge are you thinking about?
I don't know. I'm asking you what challenges, what areas is the most challenging for you in your advocacy concerning journalists, particularly in war-torn areas, or generally that face torrid times, maybe killings.
Do you know that if we widen the scope and we're not talking only on about the Gaza Strip here, the challenges can be different from one area to another. If only talking about armed conflict areas. To give you an example, producing reports on Sudan, given the war that has been going on, has been very challenging to have verified information, because so many journalists, the majority of the journalists have fled the country to neighboring countries. So talking about Sudan, to give you this example, the challenge was to have verified, accurate information that this is our job to produce, and then it will be used to advocate for the protection of journalists. This is a scenario that is completely different in the Gaza Strip, because in the Gaza Strip the challenge is that you may feel that you're just repeating yourself, because the evidence there are plenty of evidence, and the cases are so many. As I said when starting this interview, over 200 reporters have been killed in 22 months. So you can imagine that we have a lot of evidence, and so the challenge will be totally different. The challenge will be the feeling of being powerless and not being heard. So it can be different from one area to another. But I mean, we still keep our position clear and changed, regardless of the area, is that accurate information is needed in this armed conflict, perhaps more than anywhere else, because this is this accurate information that will be able to support political decisions.
The hope is that when incidences like this occur, when journalists are killed, the perpetrators will be brought to book. Are there precedents? And are you hoping that in this case, as in other cases, because it's encouraging when you know that the people who perpetrate this dastardly wickedness are brought to book? Are there precedents? And what's your hope? Do you think that eventually, with the investigations that the UN Secretary has talked about, that the people who committed these offenses will be brought to book?
There are, again, sadly, there are so many in the past cases that are still not unresolved, but that the investigation are still open and there is no conclusion, so there is no responsibility. Talking about the Israeli army, I could give you at least the well-known example of Shirin Abu Akleh, who is a Palestinian journalist who was killed in 2022 in the West Bank, and the investigation is still not finished, supposedly, whereas it is proven, according to certain journalistic investigation, that the author of her killing is known. My point is that unfortunately, so many investigations into the killing of journalists are not concluded. So again, if the investigations are not concluded, then there is no responsibility and there is no accountability, and this is what is fostering new killings and violences against journalists.
All right, Martin Roux, thank you so much for your time. Head Crisis Desk Reporters Without Borders. Yes, thank you so much.